I'm Paul Higgins, an ex-corporate executive turned business owner who for 5 years struggled to grow a cloud consulting business whilst battling a chronic disease. With the help of mentors and experts, I got the business model right, built a sales and marketing engine and developed a high-performing team that ended in a successful exit. I received a kidney transplant from a mate, and now on my second life, I dedicate my time to helping other cloud consultants scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life. Detecting an accent? I'm an Aussie working globally from Melbourne, Australia. I interview successful cloud consultants sharing their scaling stories to give you inspiration and practical tips. I have dedicated experts for cloud consultants on the show to save you time and money by working with the right people. If you want to scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life, you're in the right place. Let's get started. I'm Paul Higgins and welcome to the Cloud Consultant Show, episode number 475. Today's topic is maximizing the potential of data in the cloud, insights for cloud consultants. And you're going to learn three key things. One is what data key stakeholders are looking for and how they're using it. How you as a cloud consultant can partner with someone like our guest today to provide that data. And thirdly, how AI and machine learning can be leveraged having the right data, i.e. wrong data, you can't really fully leverage those services. If it's your first time, welcome. And if you love what you hear, please subscribe. It's for you as a cloud consultant, consulting and deploying a SaaS platform. And if you're a regular, thanks for being a regular, but why don't you let me know you're a regular? Because it's hard to know otherwise. Send me an email at paul@paulhigginsmentoring.com. And also tell me what topics you'd love me to cover. Summary will be in the show notes and the platform you're listening to, and you can get the full transcript at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. Before we go into the interview with Aron, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The first is the Cloud Consultants Collective, the world's only revenue-focused collective for cloud consultants. It's peers answering business questions for other peers. It's faster than Google and YouTube. Why don't you try it out for yourself? Go to the cloudconsultantscollective.com to join free today. And the next is Workflow Academy. Are your top performers feeling overwhelmed by their workload? Do you worry about their performance and will it suffer, or even worse, they're going to leave your company? We have an innovative solution that we can help you. We partnered with a company called Workflow Academy to provide you with highly trained junior talent who can support your top performers and ensure your team stays on track. To learn more about this game-changing solution, just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/WFA today. Let us help you support your top talent and achieve your business goals. So our guest today is Aron Clymer, and he's the founder and CEO of Data Clymer, a data generation and analytics consulting firm that empowers every client's success by unlocking the value of data. The Data Clymer team implements modern cloud data solutions that drive positive results through data accessibility and actionable insights. Aron previously established and built a product intelligence team at Salesforce for 7 years, which he covers in here, and also he supported over 400 product managers. He also then went on to look at Pop Sugar, where his team democratized data and supported analytical data science across the company. Aron has grown Data Clymer over the last 6 years into a nationwide team of deeply experienced cloud data professionals. So now what I'll do is hand you over to Aron Clymer from dataclymer.com. Great to have you here, Aron.
Hey, Paul, great to be here. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Yeah, really looking forward to this because, you know, we have a lot of people on that help cloud consultants, and a lot of them are sort of focusing on their core business. And I'm not saying that this isn't for them, but I do think this is a great revenue stream, what you do. And people, you know, data, as you know, is like water these days. It's, you know, it's the most important thing within a business. And sometimes it's very hard to organize and very hard to find at the right time. So I think it's, you know, perfect to have you on. But why don't we kick off with who your ideal clients are and what problems you love to solve for?
Yeah, you already kind of explained the problems, actually. So the problem we're solving is that rapid ability to do rapid analytics to answer your business questions in a quick manner to the speed of business, right? So you can always be on top of your strategy, be optimizing anything from cost to revenue, anything in your company, actually. And so being able to do that with data quickly is the goal. We do that by helping clients implement modern cloud data warehousing systems, modern cloud data systems. So what that means is fully cloud, of course, but it's a central analytical system where you have a 360-degree view of your company with all the data that comes in from all the various systems you use to run your company. And it ends up being the only place where you actually get the full view of everything that's going on.
Yeah, great. And I know that you spent a little bit of time at Salesforce. So, and I mentioned that sort of in the introduction, but tell us a little bit of what you did when you were at Salesforce.
Yeah, so I joined Salesforce back in 2008 or so, and back then they were the largest cloud company in the world. They're still definitely rivaling the largest cloud companies in the world. And I knew that they were sitting on every piece of usage data from the platform, right? They had every click. They knew what everybody was doing. And my goal was to maximize the value of that data for Salesforce. So I came in, there really wasn't a data team when I came in there. There was a small data warehousing team, but nothing was very organized. And especially the product people, but also marketing, sales, customer success, nobody was really using the data. So I built a data team and built up an entire data set of all of that usage data so that everybody in the company could really leverage that and use it for great success. An example would be like the customer success team. We built a customer early warning system that would notify them of customers that needed some help, right? That weren't using the product well, having some struggles. So let's get ahead of that. Let's reduce attrition. Let's make sure people are successful with Salesforce. When I left 8 years later, I was servicing about 450 product managers with all of their usage data about how they can improve their product, whatever piece of the Salesforce solution and ecosystem they owned. So it was a wonderful place to be. I loved the journey. I loved building a team. I loved building a methodology around data. The idea was to really democratize data across the organization and show people how they could actually use it, right? So we had actionable metrics. We had actionable data at the end of the day.
Yeah. And did you get to spend any time, I'll call it, in the field, like with Salesforce partners themselves?
So actually, no, I did not as much because I was mostly working on internal data sets. And so just very little of that. I mean, definitely was paying attention to a lot of the partners at the time. But my role was really more internal facing. So I didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, great. Well, now you've jumped ship. You've left the safety of one of the best companies in the world, Salesforce, and I know you've had a couple of other roles, but now you're running your own business. Let's quickly touch on that. Like, what's it like to leave the parachute behind and run your own business?
Yeah, it was definitely anxiety provoking at first, but I'm very glad I made that decision, and I love what I'm doing today. I really wanted to become a true expert at the modern data stack and data warehousing and data solutions specifically. After about a decade doing that at Salesforce and other places, I realized I'd only seen a handful of data sets, essentially a handful of business challenges with data, and I wanted to see 50 or 100 of these, and I can only do that as a consultant. So I started a consulting firm with the goal of, again, helping companies organize their data and be able to action on it quickly in a self-service way. So what that means in practicality is that I hire a lot of data engineers, and we're a full stack data engineering group that mostly does solution architecture, helps with strategy at first, but a lot of the work is implementation, best practices around data modeling and data warehousing, if you will. That's still a lot of it's kind of an art. It really depends case by case with clients about what data they're interested in, what are the big use cases they're trying to solve for, and focusing on that and making sure that they get the value out of the data.
Yeah, and look, before we sort of kicked off, you were talking about some of the verticals that you're in from an end client point of view. You just want to give us a quick snapshot of those?
Yeah, we're in quite a variety, and it's really a struggle for us since in terms of coming up with verticals we really go deep on, because and what we do below the covers is quite transferable industry to industry. We're bringing in data from a lot of different sources. That's a lot of data engineering work that is very similar across the board. Modeling data, again, that's somewhat similar. Usually there's a customer 360 kind of data model, again, regardless of industry. I mean, whether you're in banking or you're in professional sports, same pattern under the covers, right? But we do focus on those two. So that was two of them. We're in professional sports, a lot of national major league sports teams in the US, NFL, MLB, NHL. This is football, hockey, baseball, all sorts of teams like that. We're working with the leagues themselves. We work with some collegial teams, with college teams, and leagues like that. The Big Ten is one of them. It's a big conference of college sports. So we do a lot of that. At the same time, a lot of fintech, health tech, and e-commerce as well. So lots of different areas that we specialize in.
Yeah, brilliant. And I suppose you as a partner, you might be a Salesforce partner, or you might be another partner across another platform. But I suppose, the reason that I got Aron on is to talk about maybe an opportunity to grow more revenue and, by having data services. And a lot of this you can't do by yourself, right? So, yes, some of you will build in-house practice, and I get that, but the majority of you are at a size where you'll need to bring in an expert to help you. And that's why we brought Aron on to sort of talk about that, because, if you think about it, you often will own the customer relationship. You'll know the client better than anybody. And then Aron can come in and support you in that way. And just, I don't know if you've got any examples, Aron, where you've worked with a partner to make that happen, to bring that to reality.
Yeah, I could talk about that. Absolutely. And maybe we could focus just on Salesforce as an example. Salesforce is the number one CRM that we are helping our clients with in terms of their data. And also a lot of the times, some of the analytics and what we would call reverse ETL, or getting data back from a data warehouse back into a system like Salesforce. So we do a lot of Salesforce two-way integrations between a data warehouse and Salesforce. And so that's absolutely a use case that will come up, and I almost guarantee any of your clients, that you're working with, if you're working with them on a Salesforce implementation. And the reason is, just to be very clear and succinct about that, is that Salesforce, like any other tool a company is working with, is almost never going to have the full customer 360 or product 360, or all the data around whatever it is you're interested in at your company in that one tool. It's going to have a lot of it, perhaps. Salesforce will obviously have a lot with your prospects and your customers. But even if you go back to my job when I was at Salesforce, of course, Salesforce was using our own instance of Salesforce with our customers. But the product usage data was not in Salesforce, right? That was in a data warehouse, and we would surface that back up through Salesforce. But a lot of the data was elsewhere. The other thing you can do with a tool like Salesforce is you can embed analytical UIs in there. So your BI tool or whatever you're using as a central analytical tool, you could embed that in Salesforce. So, sales reps can just stay in Salesforce, but under the covers, you have 2 or 3 systems, right? And a data warehouse is really the central place that you're surfacing all this data from. So anyway, yes, the nutshell is that any company of any reasonable size, even small companies of 20, 30, 50 people, require a data warehouse. And so you're going to end up they're going to end up needing data and analytics and business intelligence in a central source of truth like that. Yeah.
And how does it typically work? Is the Salesforce partner basically bringing you as an equal partner? Or, talk us through, typically how it works.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. Yeah, it's a variety of ways. We work with a lot of partners in a lot of different ways, but usually to start out with, it's more just a partnership where we both will just service the client. So, if you're a Salesforce consultancy, you're doing all the Salesforce work, we're working side by side with you. They often will just refer us through the client, refer the client to us. We'll sign our own contract. We work side by side. If that goes well for many, many clients, then there's all sorts of possibilities of either white labeling us with, your service or vice versa. We figure that out. So we've worked in a variety of different manners there.
Yeah. And like if you're a Salesforce partner at the moment, you're listening to Aron, you're thinking like, Aron, what am I looking for? Like, I know it seems nearly too obvious because the problems sometimes are, right in your face. But, what are the signs when a CIO or someone like that is ready to make a decision to move versus, he's got a problem, but, the problem's, is not in his top 3?
It goes back to the problem we were talking about at the beginning, when the CIO is frustrated because they can't get the data they need to make a decision on a daily or weekly basis, right? They've got some critical strategic decision to make about anything, sales strategy, marketing strategy, or customer health, whatever it is. And they're just frustrated because they feel like they can't make a data-driven decision. And why is that? It's because not all their data is in Salesforce. And so they have a piece of the puzzle there, but they're not able to quickly just get it all together without having somebody on their team spend a week in Excel to actually gather the data and do the analysis, right? So they want to be able to do that in a day or two, or maybe even an hour and not a week or two. It's too long. When it's that long, you end up only answering a few of your top questions. There's a lot of questions you never even answer because you don't have time.
Yeah. And what's the buying cycle typically? Is there these short cycles to solve a solution into that problem, like long cycles? Give us a bit of a perspective on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty if we're going in with a partner who's already on top of like a Salesforce implementation, already understands the data, already understands a lot of the use cases. They can actually help really quickly put together what the needed solution is, especially the business case that we're looking to solve. And so those can go pretty quick, even under a month. Sort of sales cycle time. Our sales cycle times are usually 1 to 2 months anyway. But if we have a partner coming in helping quickly identifying the problem, we can come in and develop a solution very rapidly and work together to implement the full solution for the client.
And what are some of the biggest objections that you normally see?
Biggest objections might be just not understanding. Yeah, maybe what it is sometimes the cost, because these systems, although they're so much cheaper than they were 10 years ago. I mean, like 10 times, cheaper kind of thing. And they require so much fewer people to maintain and manage and develop off of. But if the cost is, if you're thinking about the cost as one specific use case, then yeah, it feels like it doesn't make sense. But what we have to educate clients on is that this is not a single use case solution. That the system that we're providing is going to be able to be applicable to any business case you have across the board, enterprise wide. And so it's a wonderful framework and baseline to start with to then build off all sorts of other projects on top of.
Yeah. And is there any particular function? If I go back to my old school, 18 years at Coca-Cola, we generally aligned by functions more than anything. Is there any particular functions that you're seeing that, have a greater need than others at the moment?
Boy, I think no. I mean, all functions have such a great need, but we end up having we're seeing a lot of great results in marketing, sales, and then product as well. But marketing and sales is a big piece of a lot of what we do for our clients, whether it's a major league sports team. For them, we're often helping them with fan activation in a marketing context. We're building a customer 360 with a deduped sort of golden record of a fan, which is the same thing as saying a golden record of your customer, whatever organization you are. So if you have a clean view of your customer, you can imagine the effectiveness of your marketing and sales goes way up. So that's a big use case right there.
Yeah, great. And have you got an example, say, in a fintech where you work with a Salesforce partner? What was, quick synopsis of what was the problem they were looking to solve, and what did you do and what was the result?
Yeah, a lot of compliance use cases there actually. So just being able to get all their transactional data. So not necessarily, marrying it with Salesforce, but the main data sets are often a lot of the transactions and a long history of transactions, which are very high volume. That's what data warehouses are great for. They scan billions of rows quickly and give you an answer. So there's a lot of compliance use cases actually where they need to be able to quickly answer auditors' questions and make sure they're in compliance in all, a zillion different ways because it's such a managed industry. So that's one of the primary use cases we've seen there.
Yeah, great. And where does machine learning sort of fall across this field? Like, we're all using, I'm assuming you are using Chat GPT at the moment. I know I certainly am for, everything I write, I sort of get it to improve. But, from a scale perspective, where does machine learning cut across, the data warehouse and the role that you play?
What it's actually been true for over a decade, maybe two, and it's still true today, is that you as a company, you can't really take advantage of a lot of that technology. You can't do it for your own services, your own products, your own customers until you have a clean, trusted data set on which to build these models and have AI learn about your business. So it always starts with a data warehouse with a clean data model. And that's still today like the fundamental. That's step one in a data journey. You can't just dive into AI or data science directly. So it's never just a flip the switch and it works. We use it a little bit. I mean, I don't think that AI is going to be going deep into the data warehousing world in terms of what we do in the engineering piece of it. Yes, it can generate code, but it's not generating anywhere near the kind of code that you need to actually do the data warehouse piece of it really well. We use it to help us with, some code syntax and things like that. It's great, right? But it's not designing a data model for you. It's that we're still a long way off from that kind of thing.
Yeah, great. And as far as, like you said, the cost has significantly come down. Like if you fast forward 5 years, like is it going to continue to be on is it a linear curve, or do you think that it'll, substantially change in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it's become more linear. It was very much, if you go back to even my Salesforce days, it would take 10 people to, including data engineers and some DBAs, database administrators, to manage a data warehouse. Whereas today, that same data warehouse probably take 2 people to manage. So you're coming down in terms of personnel costs by, almost 5x, maybe even 10x. The technology costs have come down about the same. It's amazing. It's about 5x, called more cost effective in general for the tech. And the beautiful thing is, for that much reduced cost, you have this huge increase in innovation and features and functionality. And they've gotten rid of all of the headache, the sort of technical headaches we used to have in terms of maintaining a system. In the cloud, everything scales indefinitely. All the technical headaches have kind of gone away, and you can really focus on your business logic and your business problems. That's what I love about it. So I talk a lot about how companies can, or anybody in a company can become a data hero. And what I mean by that is that the technology has come so far that you actually don't even need to be very technical at all to be a data hero at a company, because the tools sort of solve the technical aspect for you. I can show you a tool. You can know nothing about databases, about SQL, which is the language of databases and data warehouses. I can give you a tool that allow you to look at all your data, explore it ad hoc, and find unlimited insights, and really drive home the value of data, and then spread that across your whole company, because the tooling is so amazing now. And again, cost effective, right? Really easy to democratize all that data.
Yeah, and if I remember back to my sort of Coca-Cola days, it was like, there was the standard reporting, then there was people that really knew how to customize it, right? And we all had data analysts or business, BIs attached to the key stakeholders. So that was great. And it was, is that still the case, or now is the key person should have the competency or the capability to actually do some of the data mining themselves? Like, how does that sort of sit within corporate today?
Yeah, it's absolutely the latter now. Anybody in your company should be able to explore data ad hoc and, just see the raw data too. And when I say raw, I shouldn't say raw data. That's not the right term. Low grain detailed data, because raw data is never good to look at. That's why what we do is so important. We come in and take raw data and make it business friendly and business ready. There's a big difference, but it's still very detailed data. Every transaction, details about every interaction with your prospect or your client. It's not rolled up. It's not aggregated. And the beauty of that is, not only is it rich in information, but yeah, you can answer any question that you could possibly answer with data, because it's all there. You don't lose information as you aggregate up and roll up data into summaries, because you don't have to do that anymore. We used to have to summarize data to get the system to perform, because it was, the data was too large in its low grain state. But now, with the power of these modern data warehouses, you can keep the low grain data, and then you keep all of the information. You can slice on, a zillion different dimensions and look at it all day long.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And just on the cost of energy, right? So the cost of energy is skyrocketing at the moment. We're in 2023. The war with Ukraine and Russia unfortunately continues. Is that putting impost on warehousing all this data? Like, are you seeing it flow down that far, or like you said, some of the other synergies and other benefits are sort of outweighing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really seen that much in terms of the overall cost of these systems. But what I have really seen over the past even 5 years is the total cost of ownership has dramatically plunged. And that's not necessarily the tech costs as much as, again, the overall cost of maintaining and operating and running and building a system like this.
Yes.
And then the fact that the value you get from 100 people looking at data versus the 3 analysts that you have, the value there is huge. So the total cost of ownership has come way down, and then the value has really gone quite a bit higher. So the ROI is absolutely there.
Yeah, great. And so, if you're a Salesforce partner, you're listening to Aron and you're thinking, this sounds great, but I'm not quite sure where to start, right? So for you, Aron, when Salesforce partners first approach you, how do they typically do that, and how does it normally work?
Yeah, I think it's just a short conversation about, again, what are the business challenges that we're trying to solve for here? And working with us, we have solution architects. We have lots of folks who can quickly understand both the technical and the business side. So, can quickly work through what the customer needs. And then it's just a full solution, integrating everything that you're doing with your platforms, and then everything we would do to augment that and putting that together as a bigger plan.
Yeah. And just your scope. So is it, more the warehousing, or do you also cover some of the reporting aspects, or do you use other partners that cover more of the reporting aspects?
Yeah, we're full stack business intelligence and data and analytics, if you will. So we can absolutely work with a cloud business intelligence tool, what we're usually working with at a client. And this is something that they're going to centralize the whole company on. So again, the way I would say it is that, especially for a larger company, you do want one tool that every single person in the company only has to learn kind of one tool, no matter whether you're in sales or PR or engineering or product. You're all in the same tool. So it's a lot easier to share data and learn from each other on how to explore data. If you're in sales and you're in Salesforce, again, you might embed that BI tool in Salesforce, but they're still looking at the same user interface essentially as other people are looking at to answer their sales specific questions. So yeah, we can do all of that, and we can work with a partner to help figure out how to basically integrate whatever data needs to be integrated back into the system, like Salesforce, because there's lots of ways to do it. There's embedding, which I was referring to, where you embed a BI tool, but you also might want to pipe data directly into Salesforce right through their API. And so we can help that. We can help do that. And often our partners are defining, again, I'll use Salesforce for an example. Our partners are defining, the custom objects, the custom fields, all of that stuff, the whole object model in Salesforce. And again, the business process and, on and on and on. What is the solution in Salesforce? What is all the data that solution needs from the warehouse? And, giving us those requirements, right? Here are the 50 different fields we need on these different objects.
Yes.
And we want it updated every 15 minutes, and so we'll take that and we'll build the what we'll call reverse ETL in this case. We'll build the data pipeline that pushes the data from the warehouse back into there with quality checks, making sure it's trusted, all of that. That's a good example of how we work with a partner directly. We're doing the warehousing and the business and the reporting and dashboarding side as well.
Great. And I know we've spoken predominantly about Salesforce, but there are other platforms, SaaS platforms that you support. I know you've mentioned HubSpot. Are there others that you're working with at the moment?
Oh yeah, HubSpot, Marketo. I mean, there's a list of about 50 different platforms we've worked in across the board. Absolutely, and we often will build these integrations both ways between these products. So there's a long list. Yeah, almost every popular platform we've definitely touched.
Yeah, fantastic. So no matter who you're supporting, as you listen, there will be an opportunity to bring Aron in. And just reminding that we're listening to Aron Clymer, and it's Clymer, and it's episode 475 of the Cloud Consultants Show. So what we're going to do now, Aron, is just go into the rapid fire at the end. So are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So the first thing is, what are some daily habits that you do to help scale your business, Data Clymer?
Yeah, good question. My role now, we're almost a 50-person organization, and my role has really become the longer term strategy, working on the business instead of in the business. And so I'm really focused on long-term strategy, getting customer feedback on our services and our products, doing thought leadership and market research. So I really have to just calendar my day. I make sure I put that on my calendar. I've got, 5 or 6 priorities this week. I want to make sure I get a good, whatever that is, 10, 15 hours, on my calendar blocked off. I need, a good hour or 2 to focus, which is really hard when you're trying to run a company. You find those chunks of time. So I literally think just calendaring it, is one of the biggest tips that I have for just getting it done and making a daily habit of it.
Yeah, great. And where do you go to find more information about scaling your business?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've up until recently, I was just kind of pulling at straws for that. I was just learning as I go. I was getting feedback from some peers that I'd found, or advisors, and even, of course, a lot of the folks I had hired. But more recently, I found a mastermind group that I've really come to look at as a guiding hand in what I'm doing. It's called the Collective 54. It's for professional services companies that are boutique. So that's defined as 10 to 250 employees. So I'm right in that sweet spot. And they help companies grow, scale, and exit. And we're in the scale phase where we're scaling out. So I'm learning a lot from my peers in that organization. But I think that whatever your company is and whatever stage you're at, I think finding peers is the best way to go. That's where you're going to get the best information, because they're all going through this very similar experience.
Yeah, spot on. That's why, we have the Cloud Consultants Collective for that very reason. The next one is grant your wish. What's one wish that we could give for Data Clymer?
One wish? Well, that's an interesting one. Two ways I'd answer that. One is just the wish that data could even be easier. Data is still hard despite all of the technology and all of the solutions we talked about, and it's still difficult. Data is difficult. And I think one of the biggest reasons that is it's hard in an organization to have true data governance and find ownership. Who really owns data and who owns data quality. And, that's why I kind of mentioned that raw data is something you don't want to look at, because raw data is really difficult to use, often because it could be low quality. It's hard to interpret. There's mistakes in there. There's issues. So on and on and on. So I guess I would wish that data, more companies would think of data as a first-class citizen, as a valuable asset, an asset that needs to be, curated and invested in.
Yeah. Well, look, certainly from my Coca-Cola background, like even now, my team, sometimes I think get frustrated because I'm like, no, this information in our sales CRM has to be accurate, right? Because it's just drained into me because, crazy things like, just even the way that you call a street name or like, there's so many instances where like at an entry level, it seems like, it doesn't make a big difference. But when you aggregate the data, as you know, it can make a significant difference. So totally agree. And the last question is, what do you know now about running Data Clymer that you wish you had known earlier?
Yeah, I think knowing more about how to build and grow a sales and marketing team. Actually, I mean, we've done that, and I'm really happy we've done that. I wish we had done that even earlier on in our growth, because it's something that you want to take a lot of time and effort and curate over the years and learn from as you go. So maybe that would be it. But I am glad that I'm not in a position. I know a lot of my peers are in positions where they have not really built out maybe a leadership team, and so they're doing it all themselves, and they're the bottleneck, and they're stuck. Yeah. That is something that I'm glad I have not been a big bottleneck at our growth.
Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Well, it's been fantastic having you on, Aron. If you're a Salesforce or one of the 50 partners that Aron mentioned, and you see the opportunity where you might know that you've got certain data in the implementation that you're doing, but it's not the universe, as Aron said, and you want to help make it easy for your clients to make those fact-based decisions, well, reach out to Aron. We'll have all the links in the show notes, Aron. But Aron, thanks a lot for coming on today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
That was a great interview with Aron. It was really just to highlight to you the importance of data, which you probably know anyway, but more importantly, put a resource in front of you that you can get help with so that you can solve that end client opportunity. And if you really enjoyed what Aron had to say, please share it. Take a photo of the show notes or take a photo of the podcast and share it with him. Tell him what you liked about the interview. Also, if you've got, 1 or 10 peers that you think will get huge value out of this, if you know that they're looking for an opportunity like this, just share it with them. They'll think you're an absolute rock star. Don't forget to check out our solo shows. And if you're scaling your cloud consulting business and want to know a blueprint, right, to find out if you've got all the right elements in place to scale, just go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/blue sheet and get your blueprint, I should say. So it's paulhigginsmentoring.com/blueprint to get your free copy today. Please take action to scale quickly with less effort to enjoy life more.
Learning is just one piece of the puzzle. It is now time for action. Head to today's show page at paulhigginsmentoring.com/podcast. Get the links and put it into action. Head to your favorite podcast platform, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Suggest topics for me to cover at paul@paulhigginsmentoring.com. And don't wait one more minute to gain access to content, especially for you, a cloud consultant, at paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. This could be the difference between wasting time figuring it out yourself or scaling quickly with less effort to enjoy life.